Hi, this is Gary Marr of Glendale Community College. The screen capture is for my CIS 150 AB online class. In this screen capture, I want to talk about a program which is similar to Assignment 4. Now, Assignment 4 is going to have at least repetition structures and may also have some decision structures also. So we're talking about while loops and if statements. I'm only going to show you pseudocode, but there are some Python versions of this pseudocode in the folder that you can run if you'd like. The first version is right here. This is called Payroll. It's got 3 prompts just like our assignment did. And it's very similar but not the same. So you're going to have to make some changes. But this is a good template to start with. I've got some comments on the top that basically explain the business rules. The employee type could be an F, a P, or a C, full, part-time, or contract. They can have health care or no health care, so it's a yes or no. And the salary has to be greater than or equal to 0. Greater than 0. The start of the pseudocode is here on line 10. I've got some declarations, both text and number declarations. I also have a constant here. The constant is capitalized as the standard we talked about before, but also slip this const keyword in the front of it. This comes from the C family of languages. And those of you who take Java, JavaScript, etc. will see this as you move forward in other languages. There's an input section, a processing section, and an output section. This particular version is going to move like such. It's going to ask for first the employee type, F, P, or C. And this is where the major part of the change is for Assignment 4. Instead of having an if statement that simply branches, okay, you're fine, go to the next statement, or add the program, this is going to continue to loop until it gets a valid value from the user. Okay, so it's going to start off with if employee type's not an F, not a P, not a C, in other words, something's keyed in that's not valid, it's going to display an error message, ask again for the employee type, loop around and do the same test. If it now has a good value, it's going to go on to healthcare. If it doesn't have a good value, it's going to stay in that loop until it sees a capital F, capital P, or a capital C. The same thing is done with healthcare to a lesser extent. In other words, only 2 options, Y and N. And then salary, it's finally, if it's less than or equal to 0, it gives me an error message and continues to ask me for salary until it gets a number greater than 0. Now, in your program, you've got a coffee store name, you've got a coffee type, and you've got a pounds ordered. So it's still 3 prompts. They're similar, but not exactly the same. If all of this information processes correctly, I'm going to do a calculation. You have a calculation in your program also. I'm going to display some information back to the screen, and I'm done. The confusing part of this a lot of times is the nots. Not equal to F, not equal to P, not equal to C. If I made it equal to F, equal to P, equal to C, and put ORs instead of ANDs, okay, then it would probably require a lot more nesting and maybe more complicated code, although intuitively it might be easier to understand. What this is doing here is simply testing to see if an error message has to be displayed. And if it does, it displays it. If it doesn't, it goes on its merry way. Another way I could have coded this program is this. I could have, instead of using a pre-test while loop, I could have used a post-test while loop. Would have shortened some of the logic, as it would ask me once coming in, if what in fact the employee type was. It would check to see if it was valid. If it wasn't, it would post a message. I would do the Boolean expression at the bottom. If it's still invalid, it would go back in and ask me again. But if it was false, it would drop out and do the healthcare option. I've also done this in Python. I will let you run it yourself, but the logic is here, and it's using Python instead of pseudocode. And one thing I should point out here is in my program here, I'm using the keyword AND in some cases, and in some cases, I guess it's R and in bars. That is, the bar is basically the symbol that's used by a lot of programming languages. AND is sometimes acceptable. It depends on the language. In the case of Python, I have to use, I have to use AND I would have to use the word OR. And these are compound operators. These are discussed in both the book and also the slides. That's the example for Assignment 4. There's also some Python out there in the same folder. You want to look for the folder in Canvas files called Assignment similar to 4, or 4 similar, Assignment 4 similar, and that will give you this help. Thank you.